Today, we will be talking about the early childhood outcomes and the process of rating the childhood outcome summary forms. The early childhood outcomes, or childhood outcome summary forms, are the forms we fill out on any student ages 3 to 6 receiving special education services in our district. These forms are required by the Office of Special Education Programs, OSEP, in Washington to aid in determining progress for students receiving services and assess program effectiveness. The first time you complete these forms is upon the student's enrollment to your program. The student may have an entry and/or exit from a previous program, but it is still best practice to complete a new COSIF for a student entering your program. While it does not have to be completed at an official meeting, the input of all individuals involved in the student's programming, including the family, is required and documented. The second time you complete these forms is upon either the student's exit from your program or as close to the student's 6th birthday as possible. If the student's 6th birthday falls in the summer, you may complete these forms prior to the end of the school year. The COSIFs are filled out on any child ages 0 to 6 that receives special education services. For the 0 to 3 population, or Part C, the forms are completed by Sooner Start personnel. Sooner Start will complete separate entry and exit forms to demonstrate progress within their program. Upon the student's enrollment in a school, a new entry form is completed. Anytime a student moves from the district, an exit form must be completed. The only exception to the rule is if the child has received less than 6 months of services. COSIFs are not required for those students receiving less than 6 months of services. Due to the short time frame, these students may not have made sufficient progress to increase their number score. There are many child developmental skills. Choose the one that you like the best. Just remember, the outcomes are rated on typical child development, not by comparing one child with a disability to another child with a disability. There are 3 outcomes scored. They are positive social emotional skills, acquisition and use of knowledge skills, taking appropriate action to meet needs. All 3 of these outcomes should be scored for every student, whether there is a concern in the area or not. Let's start by looking at the different outcome areas on the COSIFs. It may help you as we go through the presentation to have a student in mind on which you need to complete these forms. Outcome 1 covers positive social emotional skills. This includes social relationships with peers and adults, pragmatic skills such as interacting with others, appropriate eye contact, personal space, following rules and procedures, expressing emotions, and attachment issues. Here are some example questions to help you identify social emotional skills in various settings. They are: how does a student interact with teachers, parents, and other adults? How does a student interact with same-age peers in both structured and unstructured settings such as the playground, playgroups, cafeteria? And how does a student follow rules related to groups and others? How does a student handle transition? So going from place to place, going from recess to lunch, going from class to recess. Outcome 2 relates to the acquisition of knowledge and skills. These include academic areas as well as early language and communication, and involves things like thinking and reasoning, problem solving, understanding physical and social worlds. It also includes early concepts such as early literacy, early numeracy, imitation, expressive language, and communication. Here are some questions to help you think about academic skills in various settings. They are: how does a student exhibit that he is able to recall previously learned information or skills? How does the student approach situations that require a solution? How does the student functionally communicate via language? How does the student use alternative means of communication? And how does the student use toys and/or objects? Outcome 3 considers the use of appropriate actions to meet individual needs. You might consider this outcome to address adaptive or functional skills. Think about it as, can they take care of their basic needs? Getting from place to place, using tools. It includes integrating motor skills to complete tasks, self-help skills such as dressing and feeding, and acting on the world to get what he or she wants. Here are some example questions that help us think about taking appropriate action to meet needs in various settings. Again, all 3 outcomes are completed for each child. For a child whose only concern is speech language, you must still complete Outcome 1 and Outcome 3, even though the area of concern lies in Outcome 2. So Outcome 3 deals with what basic self-help skills can the child do for himself. How does a student move from one place to another? How does the student recognize and utilize resources to meet her needs, such as kitchen utensils? And how does the student display that he is aware of his surroundings and is capable of maintaining a safe environment? So understanding simple safety rules and regulations in schools. The next thing to consider when beginning the COSIP process is a child's use of foundational and immediate foundational skills. This graphic shows how the process works, although the number of steps and the length of time for each step will vary from each child or developmental accomplishment. Foundational skills are those skills needed sequentially or developmentally to get to the next level when performing a task. For instance, when a child is learning to use a pinch or grasp, the foundation skill would be whole arm, open palm swiping. What other foundational skills can you think of? Think about the building blocks that children learn to develop subsequent higher level skills. And milestones we can measure that serve as indicators of the typically developing neural networks associated with maturation. Immediate foundational skills are those skills that immediately precede the desired skill. Continuing with our pincher grasp example, the immediate foundational skill would be to grab the desired object with all fingers rather than isolating the thumb and forefinger. This is the layout of the outcomes page on OK EdPlan. For the next few slides, reference the numbers indicated by the red oval. For example, when you get on OK EdPlan and you click Early Childhood Outcomes Summary Form, these are the first two areas you look at. Look at the scales that says 1, not yet, to 7, completely. These are the numbers you will be using to rate the child. The next few slides will cover the rating scale used for the COSIP forms. The rating scale uses numbers 1 through 7, with 1 being the lowest and 7 being the highest. The score rating is based on typical child development. Rating numbers 1 through 5 are not considered age appropriate. Ratings 6 through 7 are considered age appropriate. All three outcomes should be completed even if there's not a concern in that particular area. There is also an additional question that must be answered when completing the exit forms. It asks whether or not the child has made any progress. Sometimes the entry number and the exit number may be the same. However, the student has made progress toward that skill, just not enough to move them closer to age-appropriate level. Let's talk about the rating of a 1. You might consider this rating not yet. Assigning the student a score of 1 means that they are not yet showing age-appropriate behavior in any area of that outcome. We might think of this student's functioning as that of a much younger child. Here is the Early Childhood Technical Assistance Center's decision tree, with the route to a rating scale of the 1 highlighted. On the decision tree, the first question to answer is, does the child ever function in ways that would be considered age-appropriate with regard to this outcome? This is a yes or no question. If you answer no, you will be assigning a 1 through 3 rating. If you answer yes, then you will move to the 4 to 7 range. But for rating 1, we would answer no. So the next yes or no question we need to answer is, does the child use any immediate foundational skills related to this outcome upon which to build age-appropriate functioning across settings and situations? To which we answer no. The next box reinforces our choice by stating uses skills that are not yet immediate foundational. Following this progression, we arrive at the rating of 1. For a rating of 2, the student uses some immediate foundational skills across settings and situations, but most activities still do not have the immediate foundational skills present. Here's our decision tree again, with the path to the 2 rating highlighted. To the second yes-no question, we answered yes, so that leads us to the next question. To what extent is a child using immediate foundational skills across settings and situations? Our choices are occasionally or most or all of the time. For a rating of 2, we will go with occasional use of immediate foundational skills. For a rating of 3, the student is using immediate foundational skills most or all of the time across settings and situations. The student may still be described as functioning like a younger child, as he is not yet showing age-appropriate functioning in any situation. Here is a highlighted track of a 3 rating. The answer to the last question is that the student uses immediate foundational skills most or all the time across settings and situations. Now, we are moving closer to age-appropriate skills. While the student occasionally shows age-appropriate skills, there are still more skills that are not age-appropriate. Here is a breakdown of rating 4. We answered yes to question 1, but no to question 2. The next question poses, to what extent is a child's functioning age appropriate across settings and situations? For a rating of 4, our student would be doing this occasionally. The next rating is 5. We score a 5 when the child shows age expected functioning some of the time, and in some settings and situations, but not all. It is a mix of age appropriate and not. We might think of the student as only slightly younger than their actual age. Here is our decision tree for a 5 rating. The difference from the 4 to the 5 rating is the student is using a mix of age-appropriate and non-age-appropriate behaviors and skills across settings and situations. For a rating of 6, the student generally functions at age-appropriate levels, but there are some significant concerns about the child's functioning in the area. These concerns may warrant monitoring or additional supports. For a 6 rating, we answered yes to our second question and answered yes to our third question, which is, does anyone have concerns about the child's functioning with regards to the outcome area? If anyone on the decision team, that means all individuals involved in the child's programming and the family, has a concern, then the answer is yes. This constitutes a rating of 6. For a rating of 7, no one has a concern about the student's functioning in this outcome area, and the student displays functioning expected for his or her age in all or almost all everyday situations. Here is our highlighted decision tree getting to the 7 rating. I know we have gone about this in a backward manner, but I wanted you to become familiar with this decision tree. It has changed a little bit since previous years. When you and the team are discussing ratings for your student, you will begin at the top of this chart and proceed down for each rating to be determined. You will not choose a number and work backward. This tool is helpful when team members are finding it difficult to come to a number rating determination. What questions will you have? Ask yourself, does your child have immediate foundational skills? Yes or no? This will guide you as to which ratings you must consider. Again, 1 through 3 or 4 through 7. Now that we've looked at the developmental trajectories and the different types of progress that children can make, let's talk about how progress is captured in the child outcome summary process. When the team completes the COSIFs process at exit, they will answer 2 questions about the child for each of the 3 outcome areas. The first question is a rating question. To what extent does this child show age-appropriate functioning across settings and situations on this outcome? The team answers this question by providing a rating. This is the same question addressed at entry. The second question is a progress question, and this is a new question added to the COSIFs process at exit. The progress question is, has the child shown any new skills? Again, it's any new skills or behaviors related to this outcome since the last outcome summary. This question is called the progress question because it tells us whether the child has made any progress compared to him or herself since the entry rating. So how do you answer the progress question? The progress question is a yes or no question that documents whether or not the child has acquired any new skill since the entry rating. The question focuses on whether the child has made progress compared to his or her own previous level of functioning. If the team is not already familiar with the kinds of gains the child has made, the team should look at earlier assessment results and progress notes to help answer this question. Any one new skill in the outcome area counts as a yes. Again, any one new skill in the outcome area counts as a yes. So, for example, at exit, if in the 2 years since the entry rating, the team has seen the child begin using even one more new word or gesture to get his needs met, then the team should answer yes to the progress question for outcome 3. If the child has not acquired any new skill related to any aspect of the outcome since the entry rating, then the answer to the progress question would be no. Going back to developmental trajectories, the rising blue line on the left graph shows a child who's acquiring new skills and for whom the progress question would be answered yes. The purple line on the right shows a child who entered a program at 18 months and gained no skills between 18 and 36 months. the answer to the progress question for this child would be no, because the child has not acquired any new skills in this outcome area. Let's talk about two common confusions related to the progress question. Some teams answer no because they think the child has to show progress across the breadth of skills represented in the outcome area. Teams should answer yes to the progress question even if the child has only acquired a new skill related to one aspect of the outcome. The child does not have to show progress across all aspects of the outcome for the answer to the question to be yes. Similarly, some teams may be confused about how to respond because the child's acquisition of new skills is slower than same age peers. The key point to remember is that the progress question is about progress compared to self, not progress relative to same age peers. A child may even lose ground compared to same age peers, but the team should still answer yes if the child demonstrated a new skill. So, what happens during the exit early childhood outcome summary process? The process used for the exit child outcome summary is nearly the same as what happens at entry. Again, current information will be gathered about the child's functioning across settings and situations. The child's team will meet to review the information and discuss how the child's functioning compares to that of age-expected functioning. The team will determine which of the ratings on the 7-point scale best describe the child's functioning, and the rationale for the rating will be documented. In addition, the team will answer the progress question for each of the outcome areas. In determining the exit ratings, the team should not go back and look at the entry ratings. Each rating should reflect the child's current functioning. If the team members look at the entry ratings, they might unintentionally take that information into account in their decision making. The entry ratings are not relevant pieces of information to the exit child outcome summary discussion and may bias the team's determination of the exit ratings. So, a lot of questions I get is what if? What if the team members who participated in the exit child outcome summary process is different from those who participated at entry? This is okay. If the team includes individuals who know the child well and who are properly trained in the child outcome summary process, accurate ratings can be determined for the child regardless of whether or not the same team members have changed. What if a family has left the program without notice? If a family has left without the exit child outcome summary process being completed, the exit ratings still need to be determined. First, attempts should be made to locate the family according to your program's policies. If the family cannot be found, then the team should complete the process without the family based on the most recent information available about the child's functioning. When reviewing COSF data on children between entry and exit, program staff sometimes wonder how a child can have the same rating at 2 time points and also have received a yes for the progress question at the second time point. Remember that the rating is based on a comparison with age expectations. More skills are expected at older ages. A rating of 4 at entry is not the same as a rating of 4 at exit. The number of skills needed for a 4 has increased because the child is older. If the time points are more than 6 months apart, the child has to have acquired new skills to keep the same rating. Depending on the amount of time between the two ratings, it is even possible for the child to have a lower rating at exit and still have acquired new skills. So the correct answer to the progress question could be yes, even if the rating has gone down. There are 2 types of growth. Growth compared to what is age expected, and if child made any progress but did not move on the rating scale, this is still considered growth. Remember to document all of this information on the child's IEP or IFSP. The next slides discuss the progress categories outlined by OSIP. There are 5 progress categories based on the entry and exit scores for each child. Progress category A is for those students whose functioning did not improve. There are 2 reasons that will yield an A category. 1. If the child regressed, therefore scoring lower upon exit than entry, or the student received a number of 1 rating at entry and exit, and did not gain any new skills between entry and exit. This is rare. Progress category B is assigned to those students who improved their functioning but were rated at a 5 or lower at entry and exit. This may be because the student had a slow but steady rate of growth during their service time, and their skills did not improve enough to move nearer to same age peers. Referencing the previous slide, Category B would be assigned if the student had a rating of 1 at entry and exit, but made some progress during their service time. Category C is for those students who made progress, were rated higher at exit than entry, but were still below the number rating of 5 at exit. These students acquired new skills at a good rate, but still were unable to meet age expectations. Category D students were rated at 5 or lower at entry, but made enough progress to be rated at 6 or 7 at exit. Category E students were rated 6 at 7 at both entry and exit. This means they were functioning at or near age expectations at entry and exit. You may wonder why these students were receiving special education services if they were at or near age expectations. Remember, we are rating the students in 3 outcome areas: social, emotional, acquisition of knowledge and skills, and use of appropriate behaviors to meet needs. The student may be at or near age expectations in one outcome area and lower in another. Again, rating a 6 or 7 is very rare, and you must consider why is this child being served in special education in the first place. The progress categories as outlined by OSIP are not ordinal. This means Category A is not better or worse than Category D. OSIP realizes and expects there to be some students in each category. That is why the student is receiving special education services. When we need to be concerned is when the percentage is consistently higher than the national average. Here's an example of a class for Outcome 2, use of knowledge and skills. You look at their names from Maria to Landon, their entry to A score, and their exit to A score, and their exit to B score. Remember, ABC is social emotional, acquisition of knowledge, and taking appropriate action to meet needs. On the right side, you'll see the OSIP category assigned to the student based on their entry and exit ratings. Entry to A is a number rating the student received up their entry to the program in Outcome Area 2. Exit to A is a number rating they got upon exit from the program or when they aged out of the program. Exit to B is a question asked for each outcome. Has a child shown any new skills or behaviors related to the area blank? Whatever the outcome is measuring, in this example, use of knowledge and skills. The last column gives the OSIP category that will be assigned based on the information. So, using the example graph, let's look at each progress category. Angela is in Category A for Outcome 2 because she was rated a 1 at both entry and exit and did not make any progress toward the goal. Here are 2 examples of Category B. Both boys were rated the same at entry and exit, but lower than 5, but made progress toward their goal. This is an example of Category B. Here is another example of Category B. This one is a little tricky. Upon entry, possibly when Landon was 3 years old, he was rated a 5. At exit, Landon is 6 years old. Since we are comparing to same age peers, his score is lower than at entry because he has not made sufficient progress to move him to closer to age expectations. The answer to the progress question is yes, so this puts him in Category B. Here, we see 3 different examples of how to get the C category. These students made progress, were rated higher at exit than entry, but it was still below 5. Brittany falls into Category D because she was functioning lower than age expectations at entry, but made good progress, enough to bring her up to age expectations at exit. These 2 students are in Category E. They were functioning at or near age expectations at entry and exit. Here is a breakdown of the percentages for each category based on our example class. Remember that this chart only shows data for Outcome 2. Now, we will take a look at our website and navigate through the Early Childhood Outcomes materials, presentations, and modules, as well as where to find all of these decision trees for you to print out and provide to your teachers. To navigate our website, go to ste.ok.gov. Here, you'll find sections from curriculum to special education. We'll look at special education specifically to look at our early childhood outcomes materials. On the STE website, you'll see a blue banner. You'll click Services, scroll down, and click Special Education. There, you'll find a special education page. You can find information about OK Plan, manuals, and training. For our purposes, we're going to click school-aged children. You'll scroll down, and there are two ways you can do this. We'll go through the first route. You'll click early childhood. On the early childhood page, you'll see information about what is developmental delay, key eligibility indicators, and components of a comprehensive evaluation. At the top, you'll see providers, parents, and parent education program. For our purposes, you'll click providers. When you scroll down, you'll see childhood outcome summary forms, and you'll also see all of these resources for you to use. Decision tree for early childhood program codes, decision tree for summary rating discussions, the Early Childhood Technical Assistance Center, program codes, parents as teachers, professional development training, and also a quality practice checklist and descriptions. This gives examples as well as video clips and pop quizzes to test your teammates on whether or not they are fully aware of what a 1 through 7 rating scale actually means. For our purposes, you'll click Professional Development Materials and Training. Here, this will take you to the Professional Development Directory for the special education programs. On the right, you'll see a banner, Contents of Page. You will click Early Childhood. Here, you'll find Early Childhood Outcomes, Materials, Module, and the PowerPoint we just went over. You will also see program codes, or as we call them, Early Childhood Environments. And there, you'll find Materials, Module, and again, another PowerPoint that we'll go over later on in the summer. If you have a hard time finding that, I'll show you a different way to get onto this page. Again, at the very home page, you'll see this. You'll see these banners, About and Services. Click Services, and then click Special Education. You'll then scroll down and click School Age. You'll scroll down and click Professional Development. And again, we're at the same page where you'll see the contents of page for early childhood. You'll click Early Childhood, and this will take you directly to the outcomes and the program codes. If you have any questions, please contact me at 405-522-4513 or email me at jose.hernandez@sde.ok.gov.